Welcome to the Intercut podcast channel where we're recapping the 2024 Golden Globes, the 81st annual Golden Globes Awards ceremony. I am your co-host, Zachary Shevich, and joining me, he only found out he got the job 10 days ago.
Pretty
It's
bad.
Arturo Zurita.
10 minutes ago, he let me know we're about to do this Golden Globes recap. I'm like, what? What's going on?
Yeah,
Went through the
you gotta
Wikipedia, and I think we're more prepared than Joe
Yeah,
Coy
I think
was.
you gotta be able to think on your feet for a job like that, unlike some people, right?
A
Um,
comedian should know comedy. Yeah, maybe,
maybe,
maybe.
maybe. We are talking about the big award show to kick off the season of award shows. It's going to be a couple months of SAG Awards and DGA Awards, and we got the Emmy Awards next week. But it all starts with the
Mm,
Golden Globes, which in many ways is almost like an audition for the rest of award season. You know, we have our favorites, people who we think deserve to win the most, but the practical reality of award season means that we're going to be watching many award shows with the Emmys next week, with the Oscar nominations coming a week after that. So, Arturo, after last night's Golden Globes, I'm curious, which winners do you most want to see give another 4 or 5 speeches this award season? This is probably the like Kihi Kwan Memorial Award because of how many damn speeches he had to give last year.
true. Let's see. Since the Globes do what a lot of other awards don't do, which is also include TV, I would love to hear from the Succession people as they finally wrap it up. I think hearing from Kieran has been pretty funny, especially since this is like the first set of wins that he's getting. Getting the Globe is one thing, but hopefully getting that Emmy speech, that'll be one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in terms of movies, I want to keep hearing Christopher Nolan talk. It is absurd to me that this man who is synonymous with a freaking sound when it comes to trailers, that was the first time we saw him up there. Like his only speech has been at what, the Nick Slime Time Choice Awards. Like that's crazy to think that he's never been awarded. When they announced him and he went up there, they said this is his sixth nomination and first win. Like, nah, he should be speaking more. And I also even liked when his wife, since she's
Yeah,
producer, Emma went up there and kind of related back to him, like, yeah, he should have been awarded a long time ago. This feels like due justice after so many years of him kind of being snubbed and even being the reason for why some categories have gotten more nominations. So definitely him, a lock in for him. The surprise one though, I will say this: it's going to be interesting to hear, whatever Killian's going to do, whatever Divine's going to do. Damn, no one's gonna give a better speech than Robert Downey, huh? That man
yeah.
oozes charisma. It's like he left a trail going up there. That
Yeah,
was
I
good to
mean,
see.
there's a reason they centered the MCU around him. That man is like radiating charm and just like pops off the
Ridiculous.
screen. He just is so the voice just carries you, right? He's so effortless. I'm definitely happy to see Robert Downey Jr. give as many speeches as possible, even if I don't
Please.
necessarily know if he's my choice in that category.
Right?
But there's lots of people that
But he'd
I'm
give the best
happy to
speeches.
hear. Yeah, you know who I really enjoyed hearing from last night was also Paul Giamatti. I think Paul's got like the sort of like doesn't really give that much of a shit anymore energy
Yeah.
that's fun at award shows. You know, he's been through this cycle before, and I think he's like a little. He doesn't need the accolades, right? He's just kind of
No.
there for the free drinks or whatever. Um,
You saw what he did afterwards, right?
yeah, I mean that's my kind of guy after my heart, going to an in and out immediately with your Golden Globe.
That's funny. That's
Yeah,
exact. I would not have expected anything more from him.
yeah. But somebody who was definitely ready for their moment is Lily Gladstone. Kind of had the whole like gravity of the situation perfectly pinpointed, you know,
Agreed.
reminded us of the historical significance, threw in a little bit of Blackfoot dialect in there as well. She will definitely come with like a a heavy hitter statement every time that she wins one of these awards. So I'd be happy to see her continue on this pathway.
Let me hit you with that one though. You're right with her being able to understand the moment and kill it with that speech, understanding the levity of it. Does a Golden Globe hold that for you, or does it need to be the Oscar?
I mean, I think a Golden Globe is
right?
kind of like the testing ground. It's like the putting the foot in the water, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
really real until we get to the Oscars, right? Because
So you
this is
get the gold.
all it's all part of the lead up to the big ceremony that happens in March. So
It's spring training.
we'll yeah. We'll talk a bit about some of the winners and losers from last night's Golden Globe ceremony and also what that means for potentially their future awards success. Should we start with some of the winners? You want to start with some of the losers? How should we attack this?
We go winners, bro. Let's go.
Yeah. All right. All the glory first. Let's start it with TV, like you were saying, because Succession was the big award winner from the night. It took home the best show, best drama show, best actor, best actress, and I think kind of notably in the one category where it was competing with The Bear, best supporting actor, it was Matthew Macfadyen who won the Golden Globe and not Eben Moss-Bachrach. So, Art, are you happy with Succession going out as the champion in its final season?
Yeah, I thought they all gave really great performances, all gave really great speeches. Maybe in Best Actress, perhaps. I'd have to look at the grouping again there, but I think that may be the one category where it's just like I'm happy Snook took it, but I think that was probably the strongest one out of all the other ones. Where Culkin, I was completely in. I'm still rooting for him for the Emmy. I can see supporting actor go multiple different ways, right? For sure, no problem there. But Macfadyen was great. He probably has some of the most quotable lines that we had from the fourth season, and then also kind of spoiled the ending of Succession when we went up there, giving his new title. But hey, I like that. I think he won last year as well, if I'm not mistaken, because that was the year where I thought he was stronger. I think Culkin was stronger this year than he was last year. But I'd still give him his due justice for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he still had quite a bit to do in this final season, and
Yeah.
I know we were talking about this before, but that balcony scene between him and Sarah Snook's characters is just
Easily.
like some of the most riveting performances that I've ever seen on TV. So happy to see Matthew Macfadyen take this one home. Happy to see Jesse Armstrong get up on stage one last time and talk about.
All late though. What happened there, dude? This man went up there last minute and goes, "Hey, nice to meet y'all." Where was he the entire show?
I mean, he's not a big name actor, so I think they got him way in the back there.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. Maybe they needed to probably put the beef table closer to the stage too, because
we'll talk about the beef.
A little while.
The beef. They had the beef table past customs all the way on the west wing of that auditorium, bro. That was ridiculous. It was a traffic jam to get up there.
Yeah. Talking about Sarah Snook's window in Best Actress, I think this is a category that I actually kind of would have liked to have seen go to Emma Stone for her work on The Curse. It's a really incredible performance.
And you could even see it in her face right before they announced it. She was kind of like almost signing it like this is going to be the double. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is not usually the case for Succession actors. They are used to feeling like the front runners. But, I guess in a year with The Last of Us, with The Curse, with a lot of other stuff.
The Crown.
Yeah. But the thing is, the winners were pretty grouped together. All of the TV awards ended up going to either Succession, Beef. There was as you mentioned, one win for Elizabeth Debicki on The Crown, or it went to our other best show winner for musical or comedy, The Bear. They had the whole cast up on stage, Lionel accepting the award. Io got her flowers. Jeremy got his flowers. Were you happy to see The Bear, another one of our favorite shows from the past year, also take home this many Golden Globes?
Easily. I think Jeremy Allen White killed it. This would be for season 2, right?
Yeah, interestingly, this is for season 2, but I believe the Emmys that are next week are still for season 1.
How?
Because I remember the Emmys got delayed. It's all stupid and backwards.
I don't understand that at all. But what I do know is that he previously already won one, if I'm not mistaken. So he is 2 for 2, Jeremy Allen White, for the same role. That's back-to-back ones. Last year, it was him and Ayo. They went up to announce, and their whole bit, if you recall, was them doing an audition about how tall they were and what they could perform as, because they said all the casting people were in the room. Now look at them. She was your number one most viewed actress of 2023.
Yep.
And now she picked up her first gold, both of them winning together. That's awesome. Fantastic. Yeah. And then to have the boy Marcus come up and be the one who's chosen to speak. Beautiful.
I thought that was badass.
They made him the sous chef at that point, and he was able to carry it. I thought that they had the best ensemble on site. for out of all the people who were there.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to see like basically the whole cast there too, rather than just like the few famous players, I guess. I mean, it's maybe not every single person, but it's a lot of them, right? And I think they're also just like people who we've come to love and support so much. Like Io is so endearing, and her speeches, I think her personality comes through so much. I mean, it's hard to not root for a fellow letterbox poster, but
R.I.P. though.
it's
No, I
great.
thought she quit.
She took her profile picture down, but I think she's still putting some things up. She's yeah, I don't know. We're
I thought the
playing
Irish
it
joke was
safe,
pretty funny
playing
though.
it safe.
She's playing it safe, right? She got that award.
Yeah.
She wins one thing's got to lose another. But yeah, her letterbox has probably been one of the funnier ones out there. So we'll see. We'll see if she keeps that up.
Yeah, but the Bear, it's a really special show, and I think the ensemble is one of the key reasons why. So it's
My
great
number
to
one show of
see.
the year.
Yeah, I mean, I had two different number one shows on our two different lists, and it was Succession and The Bear. So I'm happy to see them both
Both win.
strongly represented in these categories for sure. The other big winner, the one that you were actually messaging me about, was Beef. The Globes ordered some turf on turf. They gave both Ali Wong and Steve Yeun the acting awards for limited series, and then they gave the award for best limited series to the show itself.
Awesome.
Art, were you happy that Beef swept, or were you hoping to see some of the love spread around?
No, you just reminded me. I only messaged you one thing during the award show, and it was the words,
Beef.
word BEEF.
Yep.
I was very excited. We've been talking about how for actress, she has pretty much been winning everything. And I thought she gave a beautiful speech. There's a lot of behind the scenes about, her husband's always been the butt of the jokes when it comes to her stand-up specials. They recently also kind of split, and now she's out there in the dating scene. Would I have ever guessed that it would have been Bill Hader to share that kiss for the win? Never.
Very intimate kiss too, very tender.
Very tender kiss.
Yeah.
And then to also still shout out her husband for babysitting. So, I mean, that was beautiful all around. Like to still give him the due credit for her being able to be out there to do the stuff that she does. I thought it was an excellent performance from her. Looking at the other actresses who were nominated for that list, I obviously really liked Rachel Weisz for Dead Ringers. Juno Temple has been fantastic in Fargo. She earned it with Beef. My worry, as you know, has been Steven Yeun has not been getting the recognition I thought he deserved, especially with all the other award shows. Finally came in here, snatched it up, rightfully so. And even when it comes to limited series overall, right? What else was in competition this?
All the Light We Cannot See, Daisy Jones and the Six, Fargo, Fellow Travelers, Lessons in Chemistry.
Nah, it's Beef, you know it. Swarm should have been in there, but it's Beef. So I was very, very happy with that. And I thought it was a good even split. I don't think anyone monopolized too much. Like I wouldn't really consider it too many sweeps when there's like one missing. So Succession getting like its corner of nobody I would argue against, The Bear getting its corner, and then Beef as well. I thought it was evenly split between those three.
Yeah, I mean, I think there'll be people who will argue that Barry should have gotten some love.
Which one? Where?
I mean, I think you can make an argument of him against Jeremy Allen White for sure. I don't know if I would go with Bill Hader over Jeremy Allen White, but I think it's
so that we ain't having it.
I mean, other people will. I'm saying what other people might say.
And those people, I hope are having a good Monday.
Yeah. The other thing you might say is that maybe like a show like Abbott Elementary should have done better, considering that The Bear isn't that much of a comedy. But again, like it kind of is.
Talk about that. That's interesting.
I mean, we say that it's a division between comedy and drama, but really it's a division between 1 hour shows and half an hour shows. And those have just traditionally been, if they're an hour long, they're dramas. And if they're half an hour long, they're comedies. But in the age of streaming, those walls are eroding. So now The Bear gets to be a comedy and compete against Abbott Elementary and Jury Duty in for acting awards.
Two things. One, can you name me funnier lines out of Succession or funnier lines out of The Bear season 2, Zach?
Oh, easily Succession. I got like 10 more quotable lines from Succession than The Bear.
2. Ain't Jury Duty really funny? And James Marsden maybe should have snatched it from him.
I'm not sure they should be in the same category at all, but that's a whole other.
It's a little different. Yeah, it is a little different. But for comedy's sake, Jury Duty's kind of surprising, right?
Yeah, it's funny. It's very funny.
It's very funny.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I'm always team like spread the love around, but at the same time, like I think Succession and The Bear are two particularly special shows. So I don't know. I wouldn't take any of those awards from them.
Yeah, I
And
wouldn't
and
snatch
Beef
it
is
from it.
definitely the best of the nominated miniseries.
Do you see a shakeup happening for the Emmys? Because obviously the Golden Globe is cute, but really what they're aiming for is the Emmys. This tends to
Right.
be in the streak of things. Emmys happen in the fall. That's a real award, and then they're just like partying. It's like an after show for a lot of these seasons that may have ended to still hang out with each other. Emmys is still around the corner for
Yeah.
Succession, for The Bear, whatever seasons they may be. That's the real award that they put up on the mantle. Do you think anything's going to shift for that?
I would suspect that perhaps Beef won't do as strongly at the Emmys. I think it'll still pick up some. Maybe, like you said, it'll be Allie and not Steven there.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that the other thing is that the Emmys are just they have more categories, right? They split their supporting actor categories. They have they've guest actor categories. Those which were actually given out this weekend, which we
Yeah.
will talk about later. I think it'll just be that because it's only TV and not just sort of shoehorning in a few TV categories, that it won't feel like so top heavy, even though I
Hmm.
still suspect that the winners will be Succession and The Bear.
They also do comedy, right? And drama.
Yeah, they do a split between comedy and drama. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see it kind of being the same as well all
Yeah,
throughout.
maybe The Last of Us will be a bit of a bigger threat at the Emmys, but I don't know. I
Could be.
still feel like Succession is going to reign king.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Some more big winners from last night, as we were talking about earlier. Oppenheimer and Emma Thomas
Hey,
coming to the stage to accept Best Picture. It was one of 5 wins that Oppenheimer on the night,
beautiful.
including Christopher Nolan for Best Director, Robert Downey Jr.
Whew.
for Best Supporting Actor in a really competitive field, Cillian Murphy for Best Actor in a Drama, Ludwig for Score, and then,
Rightfully
yeah,
so.
the 5th is the Best Picture win. So Oppenheimer leaves the Golden Globes with all the momentum in the world heading into
Right?
awards season. And I kind of feel like we've known this since July and we've entertained these other movies, but I think people who are denying it are just like not looking at reality right now. This is Oppenheimer's awards season. It's in the front runner seat. I think it's going to take home at least 3 of the big awards, if not more. I just really don't see anything being a threat to it in picture. Maybe in director, if they want
Real.
to do some kind of like Scorsese celebration thing, but
Nah.
I think this is Chris Nolan's year. Like you mentioned, we haven't seen him on this stage, and he's such an icon. It's such like a notable auteur, and I think it's just his time.
I'm flipped on it.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure if Oppenheimer takes Best Picture. Don't get me wrong. I'm completely for it. They said it wouldn't make money. It's nearing a bill. They said it
Hmm.
wouldn't be getting these awards. It's getting these awards. For me, I think it needs to be a lock for Best Director.
Yeah.
I think the award and the honor should go to Christopher Nolan. There's no better place than for that. When he won the directing last night, I was like, damn, that feels right. Like it's so weird to see him finally accept the piece of gold. It doesn't matter what the piece of gold is. It should definitely be the Oscar, though. Whether it's for writing, whether it's for directing, whether it's for Best Picture, out of all 3, I think the best one to get it for is for the thing that he does best. It's him being the man behind the camera. It's the director. I want to see him give that speech over him getting nominated or even winning for the movie. I'd be okay seeing Killers snatch movie or surprise
Hmm.
hit. But to me, that's what Oppenheimer deserves the most. It's Christopher Nolan's recognition for his directing, even over Scorsese's, who I think went toe to toe with him.
Hmm. Hmm.
But that's where my lock is in, as well as
Yeah. I mean,
Killian
as much
and
as
score
yeah, and as much as I
and
love
script
Killers of
and
the
VFX.
as much as I love Killers of the Flower Moon, I don't think there's anybody out there arguing that it's Scorsese's best movie. I got it, number 5 or number 6, maybe, but
5, 6, what?
best movie on Scorsese's best movies, Killers of the
This
Flower Moon.
this late in the game making a number 5
Look,
movie. That's
yeah,
pretty crazy, though.
nothing to shake a finger at, but um, as for Christopher Nolan, like there's an argument to be made that Oppenheimer is his best movie. I'm not sure that's my pick for his best movie, but it certainly
Really?
is up there. And it's also like the rare film from him that deals with like a real human situation, a period of
Mhm.
history, So I think that combination, it makes it hard to look elsewhere than him this award season. So I don't know. I
Okay.
have them, both the film and him as director, as the strong frontrunners heading into the rest of the
That's cool.
award season. But
You have
something
something else
that
for score?
no, I kind of think it's going to win score. I think it's
Right?
the ones that I think it's going to win right now are picture, score, um,
Director.
supporting actor, original screenplay, and
Supporting?
score. Yeah, I think it's winning. I think it's Robert Downey Jr.'s year to lose.
Whoa.
Look, he won the
Okay.
Globe.
All right. And he gave the best speech possible. Look, Melton goes up there. It's going to be the most attractive dude up there. Downey goes, or sorry, De Niro goes up there. It's going to be the most political speech. Who else we got? Ruffalo?
Ruffalo. It's also probably political.
Probably
He's the most
political.
likely to say ceasefire now.
Who's the fifth one we got?
Shoot. It's not Willem Dafoe, is it?
Bro, they put up a picture of Willem Dafoe, of him in the makeup
Oh,
and
it's
not the makeup.
Gosling.
And for a second, I didn't know which one to look at. He's supporting. Gosling is supporting?
Yeah, he's supporting.
Robert Downey Jr. is giving the best speech. That's all I know.
Yeah.
But he already has an Oscar, no?
Does he have an Oscar?
I know he's nominated for a role.
He was nominated for Chaplin,
No, he
and he
was
was nominated
nominated.
for Tropic Thunder, but I don't think he won for either.
Oh, really? Okay. Then that
Yeah.
would be a good one to see him snatch up. Look, I think he's really great in it. I would not be upset. I was not upset when he won yesterday. I still think it's a very stacked competition there.
Yeah. It's not
For
over.
me,
Like there's
it's
still
not
tons
over.
of campaigning to do, and the speeches I think are going to play a role in it too. But I think the fact that he is so beloved, particularly because he's this intensely successful actor that so many people have this big relationship to, not just through his work as Iron Man, but all the stuff that he did prior to Iron Man,
True.
and that it's kind of, in a way, this is sort of like his time award. He's really
And
good in the
and on
movie.
that, isn't that better? That Nolan isn't getting his for The Revenant. He's getting it for something as cool as
Yes.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing.
That's
It's like,
awesome.
yeah, it's a rare situation where the whole like it's time narrative seems to be lining up with, actually this is a great performance and maybe one of the best of his career. I did think it was interesting when he pointed out during his speech the whole idea that like this is a whole subtler version of Robert Downey Jr., as if people are like grading his performance on a curve, but there is some of
Yeah.
that baggage too, because it's such a different thing than what we're used to seeing him do.
I liked when Strauss looked at the camera and said, "I love you 3000." That was one of the best dialogue scenes in Oppenheimer. But hey, very good night for Oppenheimer. I'm a
Yeah.
little iffy on this next category that I know you're using for a transition. I don't know if it's got it.
Yeah, I mean, Anatomy of a Fall definitely got one of the biggest boosts of the night, winning not just
Crazy.
one but two Golden Globes: the best non-English language film, even though there is quite a bit of English language in it,
A
and
lot.
the best screenplay award. That's the one that is really surprising, because it was
Yeah.
up in a category not just against Christopher Nolan and Oppenheimer, but Greta Gerwig and Barbie. And I believe the Holdovers script was nominated too. I could be wrong about that, but like some pretty strong screenplays in there. And yet the Hollywood Foreign Press Association decides to go with Justine Triet. I think.
They're not the HFPA anymore, my
Oh,
sir.
right. Thank you for the
Bro,
correction.
when that hit me on the second time, Alina looks at me and goes, "What are they saying?" And we both looked at each other and realized they just rebranded the HFPA to Globes Journalists.
Yeah, it's a very Hollywood Creative Alliance type of move, if you ask me. But
If you ask me, the best presenter was Will Ferrell going out there saying the Golden Globes haven't changed a bit. What a way to just get to that line. But yeah, keep going. Because another thing with the script is it's both original and adapted. They don't split it here.
yeah, that's the thing. So it's not just that they won screenplay, but they did it in a combined category. Seems to
Mhm.
suggest that there is a lot of love not for this movie and for the script. in a
Yeah.
way that I think should be considered when it comes time to the Oscars. Because I have honestly been like uh underplaying the idea of
Correct.
Anatomy of Fall as a real contender, particularly after France decided to go with the Taste of Things instead of
Hmm.
Anatomy of a Fall. Like that sort of takes away the one nomination you can count on. But people are really responding to this movie. I think now that it's on VOD, also a lot of people are catching up with it and really diving into the film. I
Those
think it's
fan
got a
cams are
real
going
shot
crazy.
to I think it's got a real shot to wind up getting a couple Oscar nominations. And we've seen with the expanded academy that has a lot more international members, that some international films do break through. Like All Quiet on the Western Front got, what was it, like 6 Oscar nominations last year?
Hmm. That, yeah, and wins. Like that was a big part of it. It was
Yeah,
snatching up things that we thought were going to go to other people.
yeah.
To run it back for screenplay, besides Anatomy, it was also Barbie, Poor Things, Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Past Lives. No holdovers.
All right, but still, those are some heavy hitters there in terms of
Very heavy
screenplays.
hitters. And I know we're going to
And
be talking about it more for the Oscars later, but this one would 100% fall in original, correct?
I believe so. Yeah, as far as I know.
All right. So that's gonna be a tough one for Oppenheimer. I can tell you that
Yeah.
much. Non-English
uh,
also, does that put you at odds with some of the other ones that you may have had at the top of the list? Because obviously it won't be in competition for international feature because it's not
yeah.
eligible at the Oscars for international feature, but up against something like the only two I'd count here is Society of the Snow and Zone of Interest because you and I don't count
Right.
Past Lives in this category.
Yeah.
I know you didn't care for Fallen Leaves as much, but like, is Anatomy of the Fall going to take the thunder that Zone of Interest should have had because they did such a weird rollout that it's not even out in theaters for many people
Right,
right now?
like this, no other movie got the boost from the Golden Globes
Right?
that it might have helped it. I don't know, I feel like Zone of Interest is kind of at a level that it's almost undeniable. Like it is such a big, well-received movie that I can't imagine it getting snubbed. Yeah, I don't know
Bro,
really who if this
right?
hurts any movie, but it definitely, it's just weird because it doesn't help Anatomy of a Fall get into foreign film because it legally cannot or whatever.
Yeah, so it's fighting a different battle for the Oscars. I
Yeah.
will say for Zone of Interest, I think you guys may have it already over in New York. They're premiering it at the Alamo Draft House, and I need you to picture that.
Yeah, I
Crunching
can't wait
away
for I can't
the
wait
menu, the
for a
brunch
waiter
menu.
to deliver me some chicken tenders in the middle of, like,
Crazy.
discussing the, way to optimize the incinerator. Jeez.
Ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Getting your order in while the just sounds of the first minute are just drowning out everything. I don't understand that. Please play it at a different theater, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, we'll see. It's going to be a completely different field when it comes to international film there, but good for Anatomy of a Fall. I like that the whole cast was out there.
Mhm.
The boy they were saying needs to be Adam Driver Jr. Agree completely.
Yeah.
That boy
I
did a
just
great job in the movie. The dog did a great job in the movie. Everybody did a
yeah,
great job.
love the Snoops. Definitely need to get Snoop on stage at the Oscars.
Yes. Bro, I
Um
thought she forgot 50 Cent's name.
That would have been funny, but no.
It was his dog, yeah.
Randomly though, speaking of that 50 Cent instrumental cover, that
Mhm.
new Michelle Yeoh show, Brother's Son, also uses the exact same cover. It's just having a moment. PIMP.
Wow. Okay.
It's bringing it
You
back.
caught is the show good?
It's fine.
Crazy.
I caught one episode of it. Anyway, another winner from last night, Poor Things, which snatched
Hey,
the awards for Best Picture, Comedy or Musical, and Best Actress in a Comedy or Musical. That
rightfully
latter
so.
award, in particular, I think is interesting and kind of puts Emma Stone on a battle path with Lily Gladstone for the Oscar.
That's
There was
right.
maybe like some potential here for a Margot Robbie to sneak through in Barbie, but it's just tough because I think that Emma Stone performance is so good and kind of the epitome of what she can do as an actress. It feels like this is should be a crowning moment for her.
I agree because I'm one who believes she should have taken the twofer. She should have gotten one for movie and one for TV, and that would have been a fantastic night for her to be able to
Right?
flaunt that because I think she's done the work for both. I mean, you and I even know she's got a short out there that she was also campaigning. She was doing anything possible after having a child to have one of the craziest comeback years, and I
Hmm.
think she should have swept every award. Looking at the comedy actress and the drama actress, I know we have Lily as the winner for Killers of the Flower Moon,
Yeah,
Emma Stone as winner for Poor Things. I
yeah.
thought this was a lock in for her. I'm surprised for the category win of Best Picture Comedy. We'll get to that. But just taking an actress right here, we have 10 nominees here. I'm gonna name
Hmm.
them to you. You tell me if it's a shoe in for nom. You tell me if it's a boot.
Okay.
Lily Gladstone,
Shoe in.
Annette Bening. I'm sorry, I have to. It's in the list.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no, but weirder things have happened.
Sandra Hüller, Anatomy of Fall.
I'm starting to think it's gonna happen,
Has
especially
to.
given
It has to.
yeah, especially given how well it did last night. I think it's gonna happen.
Hashtag did she do it is a strong campaign right now. I'll just tell you that
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Greta Lee.
This is one I'm worried is gonna get bounced, and I
It's tough.
really hope not because I love that performance. But I would say right now, I think she's not getting in.
Whoa. That's gonna be a tough one. Did you
Yeah,
see her speech at the critics? I
yeah.
believe.
It was excellent.
Epic speech. Fantastic
Yeah,
speech. Yeah, I feel like they might round her out at 6. Carrie Mulligan.
I think she gets in, and this is the slot that if I had my say, even though I
It should have
like
been
that
Greta.
Carrie Mulligan performance a lot, I'd give it a Greta.
Yeah, you and I think, are the very few who are appreciative of Carrie Mulligan's performance. A lot of people hate her. I've had
Yeah,
a lot of white folk complain on Latinos' behalf for her. We appreciate it. We do. But we like Carrie. She's not Chilean, but she's not bad in the movie. It's not her
yeah.
fault. Or maybe it is, but she still did good. Greta Lee, I would pick as well. I agree with you. So you're giving it to Carrie as a third spot, maybe
Hmm.
Greta. Kaylee
Hmm.
Spaney as Priscilla?
Nah, I think that ship sailed.
Booted. Okay. Emma
Yeah, I
Stone.
don't think
I'm
Priscilla's
just gonna
getting
count that.
anything at the Oscars.
I'm gonna count that one
That's
for you already right off the
yep.
bat. We're left with one more, and we're barely starting the comedy section right here, Zach. You just saw Fantasia and the Color Purple,
Yes, I
right?
l- I liked her. I don't think she makes the cut,
Jennifer
especially the
Lawrence.
not for no hard feelings. Not at the Oscars. That's a Golden Globes performance for sure.
So then you're arguing with me because I'm not gonna count the Fallen Leaves actress, Alma. You're
No.
arguing me between Fantasia and the Color Purple, Natalie Portman in May December, and
Hmm.
Margot Robbie as Barbie.
Hmm. And I might go with Natalie Portman personally, but I think because of the success of Barbie, particularly because Margot Robbie is also a producer on that movie too. Yeah, Natalie Portman produced May December, but it wasn't as successful as Barbie. I think this is going to be a Margot Robbie spot. She is so great in Barbie too.
Yeah. She is really good. She is.
Yeah.
I'd go Emma Stone at my top pick, Lily Gladstone, Sandra Hüller, Nat, because we were close like that.
Yeah.
Fantasia, then Margot,
Ooh.
then
Okay.
Greta.
Okay.
It's just
It's
too
still.
stacked. You and I have
Yeah.
been saying make it bigger.
Yeah. Let's get 8 nominees. That'd feel a little bit more reasonable.
All
All
right.
right.
Now, in terms of comedy, though, it winning the comedy thing, did that not surprise you?
Poor Things taking the best picture for comedy.
Over May, December, the holdovers and Barbie? Bro, that's pretty big. That's pretty
I
big.
yeah, it's pretty. I thought it had a good shot. I thought it was going to be between the Holdovers and Poor Things, but it felt like there was a lot of momentum going the Holdovers way, and there still is. But it feels like maybe May December has more. I'm sorry, excuse me. Poor Things has more. I don't
That's
know.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think the people who love, I think the difference maybe is that the people who love Poor Things like love the hell out of it. Like there's people
We do.
who, yeah, I don't know, the people who put it on the top of their lists are like just really being champions of that movie in a way that I think carries through to award support.
Over Barbie? Barbie wined and dined everybody,
Yeah,
though.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's that's the old school Globes. Like if this was the mid 2000s, Barbie probably would have won that category, but I guess they're trying to maintain a cleaner image now. Barbie to me feels like a movie that um and we'll get into this more in a second, but it feels to me like the movie um that gets nominated for 10 Oscars but only wins one. Like The Irishman or The Roma
Wow.
of this year.
Barbie?
Barbie.
You saw Barbie actually broke the record for the most Critic Choice nominations, and then you realize that the Critics' Choice are who threw the most parties with them.
Yep. Yeah, I
Ridiculous.
mean,
It did get 2 though, right? It got
yes.
what did it get?
So it got the original song Golden Globe,
Rightfully
which
so.
went
Yes,
to
rightfully
Billie
so.
Eilish for what
As it should.
what was I made for? And it
Mhm.
got the Best Cinematic and Box Office Achievement Award.
Yes.
Now,
Uh-huh.
granted, I think this is like the correct winner in that category because,
Really?
well, look, I think what I understand the award to be is the most financially successful movie that's also good. And it was the most financially successful movie of last year, and it was also good.
But what if you have a gooder movie cinematically? Does that compete against the box office?
No, because
It
this is
made
a
more
box
money
office achievement.
in cinematic. Cinematic and box office. Can one have a higher here, not a lower
So
there?
you
How
thought
does it go?
Oppenheimer should have won this, or is this an Eras Tour uh,
I'm
argument?
just saying, if you're going to invite Taylor Swift, get her up on stage. I don't want to see her trending on Twitter because they're talking smack about Timothy Chalamet. I
Oh
need
my
her to
god.
speak. I need her up there.
Yeah.
For me, Barbie is this, right? It's a toy movie that ended up making $1 billion.
Yeah.
Back in my day, we used to call that Transformers.
But this is better than Transformers. Come on.
I'm not saying it's not better than Transformers. I'm just saying box office wise, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I hope they keep this category forever.
You like this category?
I hope they do a spin-off award show for cinematic box office achievement.
Yeah, we can call it the box office report, right? We can
We can do
publish
it
it
every
in
Monday.
Variety.
I hope Forbes leads it.
Oh
Oh.
god.
All right, let's talk about
But
your
yeah,
favorite
I
movie.
mean, no, I was just gonna say though, with Barbie, I mean, it was the most nominated movie at the Globes last night, but ultimately it was the Heimer half of Barbenheimer that ended up taking home the most awards.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about my last winner for the evening. It is the Holdovers. And yes, it is partially because of this look that Dominic Sessa debuted. I'd be
Bruh.
lying if I
It
didn't
looked
say
clean.
it didn't like speak to Caitlin in certain ways. He's looking very like Julian Casablancas esque there, like a
Well, everyone,
regular member of the Strokes.
yeah, they want to cast this boy as Bob Dylan already, just off of the pictures he took off the red carpet. Zach, if I see
Yeah.
you strolling in to Sundance like that, you got to let me know. We'll go matching. We'll be the Sessa
Oh,
boys.
oh man, I'll buy the outfit now. But yeah, it was a big night for the acting from the Holdovers as well, because I think everybody had anticipated that Divine Joy Randolph might win, given that she's been sweeping, just absolutely sweeping the critics nominations. But getting the dual win with Paul Giamatti was a nice boost
That
for
was
the
nice.
film as well.
I agree. And supporting
Do
is
you
stacked
feel
also there.
do you feel like there's anybody who's really competing against Divine Joy Randolph at this point?
Um, Award wise, no. True competition.
Mhm.
After all is said and done, and we look back, I think we will appreciate Julianne Moore's performance a lot.
Yeah.
I know we were kind of split on Danielle Brooks. I also do think Danielle Brooks was really good in the role as well.
Mhm.
But the way that Divine gave that speech yesterday about the little inner moments of a bunch of people who are heard and that these are their stories to be told up on screen, I think showcases why it's impacted a lot of people. I have no problem with her winning. She is the heart of that movie. And just looking at the entire awards show, I hope she has a killer speech to give at the Oscars because it's hers to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I agree that it's hers to lose. And if last night is an audition for your eventual Oscars speech, she absolutely nailed it. Like
Beautiful
um,
speech.
she's going to be great on that stage. So yeah, I kind of can't imagine anybody beating Divine Joy Randolph. Even though I agree with you that Julianne Moore performance is so incredible. It's so incredible that I keep seeing
Unreal.
people who are like, she's the lead of that movie. And if you literally look at the screen time, she's in about 25% of that movie. But
I
you can't
mean,
stop thinking about her.
it's great, dude. It's great.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite performances of the year.
Yeah. Paul Giamatti ended up taking home the Globe over Timothy Chalamet, Nicolas Cage,
Okay.
Matt
All
Damon,
right.
Joaquin Phoenix. I think the
Not fair.
only real kind of competitor there is Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction, and he
And he
did
was the
kind of,
happiest.
yeah. I mean, it just seems like it. This is gonna be the end of like the hopes for Jeffrey Wright winning, but hopefully he gets at least into the nominees.
Yeah, Jeffrey Wright is working on a completely different level for that, for sure. But he was the happiest when he heard Paul's name get called out. He was there. He was not doing there was a couple of reactions that we got from last night. He was not pulling the maestro. I will just say that. He did
Yeah, I
not
mean,
pull a Bradley Cooper and just straightforward and just did the little clap.
I feel like Jeffrey Wright and Paul Giamatti have had very similar trajectories as these like very reliable but underused character actors who have the gravitas to lead films but often are just supporting players in them. So
Yeah.
there
They
must
may
be a
have been
little
the
bit of like recognition in each other.
between the two, yeah, they respect their crafts for sure. They both seem like
Yeah.
people who understand each other in that sense. They were probably the only ones who also laughed at the character actor joke that Joe Coy
Mhm.
decided to make at the top of the show. Look, let's just get that one out of the way.
You want to
Out
skip
of
the
hosting,
Joe Coy?
just to get it out right here, why not? Because
All
we're
right.
at the minute mark on our podcast where he had completely disappeared from the show. Yo, this man got raptured midway through the ceremony. He bombed so hard in that opening, and you and I, we know our comedians well enough to know that
Mhm.
this wasn't a schmuck that came out of nowhere. This is a
Mhm.
man who's built his career to make it all the way to the top. Some people don't recognize him. They
Yeah.
thought he was the waiter. No, Joe Coy is a world-renowned comedian.
Absolutely.
Filipino roots, he comes in. I was rough, bro.
It was
And he's been
really
at
rough.
it for a little bit.
Yeah, I've never seen someone bomb their award show monologue that bad. I mean, I really wasn't a fan of Hassan Minaj's Indie Spirit Award monologue, but at
Mhm.
least it was like jokes. Like it had the construction of
Jokes that
jokes.
failed,
There
yeah.
was delivery and punchline. It kind of just felt like Joe Coy was talking about stuff. Like it was so poorly rehearsed and poorly assembled and just uh unpracticed, I would say. I don't know. It's funny because like, yeah, he's a comedian who has a lot of experience. He's like a, he's
Nah.
constantly touring, right? He's not like looking for, he doesn't need more of an audience, right? He's filling the places he books. I've known
That's
him for a
no,
long,
that's a great point. Yes. It's he wasn't here as like a favor.
yeah,
He was there as a favor, like, he doesn't need it. I know people
right.
don't know him and they think he was just some person that they got. He's good on his own.
Yeah, I mean, look, my
Was.
I found out about him first through my friend Ben, who you know, who's a Filipino American. So obviously there's like that Filipino connection there. And Joe is a performer who like really leans on that aspect in his
Yeah.
comedy. And I think one of the things he kind of ran into here was like
He
the
could not do
struggle with
that.
crossing over, right? Like he didn't have the ability to do any
Yeah.
of his usual bits. And he tried to play in a different arena that he was less familiar with, and he didn't have the material. Like he had a joke about how Oppenheimer is 3 hours long, as if that isn't a thing that's been discussed at ad nauseum already. He's treating it like it's this obscure art house movie and not something that made $1 billion at the box office and that the DVDs are flying off the shelves for. This isn't The Power of the Dog.
He had a joke about Killers of the Flower Moon that belittled it with him clearly not having seen Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
Saying it directly to Martin Scorsese's face while trying to suck off Robert De Niro. That was embarrassing. One thing that you and I hate the most out of comedians is
Mhm.
have some respect for the movies.
That's the
When you have
thing,
no
right?
respect for the movies and the punchline you're doing against them is also not funny, how?
And he's doing this thing where he was like stating something that's a fact but trying to deliver it like it's a joke and then being
Yeah,
surprised that nobody laughed at it. I don't
bro.
know. I
Yeah,
mean,
he
look,
did that
you
Margot Robbie one where he
mhm.
thought, oh, I fell in love with a plastic doll. And everyone's like, this is uncomfortable. And the delivery was so botched that by the time he went, ha ha, ha, I was looking at Ryan Gosling. Nobody cared, bro. You had Harrison
Exactly.
Ford rolling his eyes. It was a mess. I'll tell you what's worse. It's not because he couldn't cross over. I saw Easter Sunday, his movie.
Mhm.
I saw him on the Netflix improv thing where everyone came prepared. This was just the stand up that they did last fall. He has this thing where he thinks that he is so God, like God has blessed him completely. All of
Yeah,
his talents are God given, that he doesn't try anymore when he goes up there. He thinks it's just supposed to flow through him.
right.
And nothing pisses me off more than taking for granted the opportunities that you have and butchering your comedy. This man did an immortal sin in comedy. He brought up how many times, Zach? I didn't write these jokes. No, no,
Yeah,
no, 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 no.
throwing his writers under
You
the
don't
bus. And
throw the writers under the bus because you
yeah,
should barely even be admitting that other people are writing your jokes. If I could speak, I was so disappointed by Joe Coy.
yeah.
So disappointed. It was
It
bad.
was embarrassing. It was
It was bad.
genuinely embarrassing in a way that like award shows sometimes can be embarrassing, but not this like it's going to have an adverse effect on his career, I think. But I don't know, man.
I don't think anyone
It,
tunes in like that for any of this, but it was pretty bad. After last year, what Gerard did, which was completely
mhm,
different, right? That was giving them a spanking. He said he got hired 10 days, like you mentioned.
yeah.
Nobody wanted to do this gig.
No, but see, here's the thing though. It's like ideally the gig goes well. In most cases it's forgettable, right? Like some people don't even remember that they hosted award shows. He's now got a reputation as the guy who completely bombed the Golden Globes. There's a lot of people who are going to be like, oh, that guy from now on with
Yes.
him.
It's also the jokes that he made, right? Because like you're saying,
Yeah.
a big population is going to see him as that. You just
Hmm.
ticked off the Swifties. The Swifties hate him after last night. That one
Hmm.
reaction she did after that NFL joke about cutting away. First of all, he couldn't even complete the joke. Second, they cut to her and she's rolling her eyes. So now everybody's saying that when she was taking a picture, she was calling him an asshole. Like
Hmm.
this jerk right here. It's yeah, you're right. It's yeah, a lot of bad eyes from a lot of people who saw you for the
Yeah.
first time.
I
Very
just
disappointing.
don't get how, as a comedian, you don't have a joke in your back pocket about bombing worse than Oppenheimer. But anyway, we
There you
can
go.
move on to some of the other losers from the evening, which included, as you mentioned, Maestro
Stop,
and
bro.
Bradley Cooper. There are a
Other
lot of
competitors.
there are a lot of cutaways to Bradley Cooper making this exact expression, just sort of like trying to hide the discomfort behind a smile. And I
So
do
funny.
think sometimes people read too much into the whole like Bradley Cooper's trying really hard to get an Oscar thing.
Nah, he is,
But
bro. He
but it
is.
but it was so set up perfectly for it last night.
Bro, you and I like Maestro.
Hmm.
I'm still laughing at every Bradley Cooper meme that comes out. It is. It's funny. Everybody just loved him for A Star Is Born, right? Y'all
Hmm.
change your tune really quick. That's why I'll laugh at the jokes with everybody. But when has it ever mattered that someone wanted an Oscar that much? Laugh at the thirst that he has, but I'm not going to sit here and say that it was a bad performance or that he's a bad actor because he's a very good actor. I
Hmm.
saw him still smile after he lost to Killian. He's a pretty good actor in my book.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it'll happen eventually for him, I'm sure, but definitely not on this go around. Um, Another film that went home with 0 wins was Past Lives. I wonder if we're at the point in the Past Lives campaign, despite it sort of being the unanimous choice for best movie from the first half of 2023, that it's just kind of like going to be happy to get a few nominations, sneak into screenplay and picture and maybe actress, but I don't feel like Celine Song is should be expecting to go home with any Oscars gold.
No, but it's the Gotham's, Indies, New York critic circles.
Yeah,
It's got all the press circles, so it's got that prestige for it. So for what the movie was kind of designed for, if you want to say it that way, I think it already fulfilled what it needed to.
totally. I mean, it's an A24 movie that didn't have a big budget or anything, so it is already punching way above its weight class. And
For
the
sure.
thing that matters is that people have really connected with it. It's a great movie. So,
It's been
um,
recognized at least, right? That's the important part.
yeah, I think we harbored a suspicion that it might make its way all the way to the Oscars stage, and I just don't know if it's going to do that. But I'll be really happy
Not
when
wait,
it
wait,
gets a
even for
couple.
knobs?
No, no, no. That's why I said staged,
Oh, okay,
right?
okay,
Like,
gotcha, gotcha,
yeah, yeah,
gotcha,
yeah. I
gotcha.
still think it'll get a couple noms, and I'll be really happy for it there. But yeah,
That's I got you. Yeah,
yeah,
it'll still make it. That in and of itself is a feat. I truly believe that it's an honor just to be nominated. So
absolutely. Was Killers of the Flower Moon a loser last night? It was nominated for a few awards, but the only one it picked up was Lily Gladstone. You mentioned that you think it has a shot in Best Picture. Do you feel like less confident in that after the Golden Globes?
it comes out on Friday. on Apple TV Plus. I think people are finally going to have a resurgence talking about it. I
Mhm.
see people breaking down the ending now as if it hasn't been already broken down since week 1, but nobody wanted to hear it.
Right.
So I think it's only going to build in its campaign. I think it's going to build in its importance. I think it's going to still be my lock-in for picture. Nolan can take director, and it's just going to be up for Lily Gladstone versus
Emma Stone.
Emma for poor things, and
Yeah,
that'll be
Battle of
really
the
interesting.
Stones, I guess. I didn't just
Kind of,
realize that.
yeah. Gladstone versus Stone. Okay, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't want to. I think sometimes in the whole like Oscar punditry thing, people want to take one awards body voting and extrapolate that to mean like this is what everybody's thinking. So yeah, like Killers didn't win that much at the Golden Globes, but the Oscars and other award shows,
Yeah,
they're awarding a more vast part of the film experience, right? There's no production design Golden Globe. There's no
true.
uh or there's no costume design Golden Globe and stuff like that. So I still think that Killers is one of the major players, and it still could be a factor in the Best Picture race for
I'm
sure.
also arguing for supporting. I'm also just
For
saying
what, Kara or something? Who are we
no
talking about?
supporting.
Oh,
It was a
De
solid move.
Niro.
De Niro,
Okay.
he killed it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, I can't choose, man. It's supporting's too hard, man. I can't choose. Don't make me choose. My last loser of the evening was a winner because my loser is Ricky Gervais.
Okay,
Can we talk about that clip that they used for Armageddon? Was that Ricky Gervais or was that Tim Heidecker doing a parody of a right-wing comedian? Like, what is going on with Ricky Gervais's career?
yes. So I saw that entire special because it got nominated before it was released, and
What'd you think?
I am so tired of comedians trying to explain comedy to you. Just do the comedy.
Right?
It was better than his last one. His last one was egregious. This one was fine. He does better with crowd work.
Yeah, I
No,
guess
when you
it's
think
just
about it, nobody tells you that Ricky Gervais set. They tell you what? When he hosted a award show.
right.
They do.
Yeah. I've never really responded to his stand-up material. Like, he's a
Because there's a bunch
fantastic
of people in the
writer,
room clapping.
obviously. Like, look at the shows that he's helped spawn. But yeah, like it's so self-indulgent and it's so self-congratulatory because when he isn't complaining about like the things you can't say, but I said them, he's
For
also
the
like
fifth time, right?
he's also like blowing smoke up his own ass about the shows he's made.
Yeah. Like, nah, just again, I just think he does better crowd work than he does comedy because a lot of comedians right now are not doing comedy. They're just doing reaction talks.
Yeah.
That's weird to me.
Yeah, so
Good
I
for him, I guess.
can't believe that those were I can't believe that those were the nominees for the first stand-up Golden Globe. But
Yeah, I was so
the
confused when
biggest
they go ahead.
just the biggest joke is that he won it. Like that's maybe the worst one they could have picked.
But it was such a bad category. You and I had a pick that didn't even make it.
Yeah.
Also on Netflix, that should have been the one that got
John
nominated
Mulaney,
with
yeah.
yeah, everybody else here was rough. Like the Wanda Sykes one wasn't even funny. She just recapped
Mhm.
what happened since 2020. Like what? I didn't really understand that,
Yeah, I
but
saw lots of
I
people responding to that latest Nate Bargatze special. Like, why isn't that up there?
hell yeah, bro. Nate's been funny. They even got him on
Yeah.
SNL. I don't know. There was a lot of stand-ups from last year that they could have put on there. They decided to do that. I did find it funny that I guess after they got just mopped last year with a comedian, they decided. I think you tweeted this. Very few categories actually got snippets, and it was like they were stroking the ego of the comedians. Here's
Yeah.
a whole 30 seconds for a
Why is
joke.
this the
Why?
category where we need to see clips for? Why can I see some of the acting nominees do
Yeah, I
acting?
was both impressed. I'm like, for sure, honor comedians, but like, I'm sorry, why? Why don't we get any acting clips? It was
I don't
very
get
weird,
it. Yeah.
very weird. But who presented that one?
Jim Gaffigan, who reminded everybody that he's not a pedophile.
Hey, at least he didn't do his hot pockets. But again, but
Yeah.
hey, I'm looking forward to that work.
Speaking of microwaved meals, my favorite part of that whole bit was when they introduced Jim Gaffigan as from the upcoming Netflix film Unfrosted, the Pop Tart story. What is Like, I know we're in the era of corpo biopics or whatever, but what is going on? That
On
is a 30 Rock title if I've ever heard one.
let me hit you on with one better, bro. The best presenter of the night, and I know you will agree, was Yellowstone himself. I don't know what happened between Kevin Costner and America Ferrera, but that was the absolute biggest bomb of the night.
Yeah.
Only because they didn't go for a monologue. Did what's his name not take the cake for the worst? But Kevin Costner literally shut her down. I don't know what the bit was supposed to be, but it went sideways.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, first of all, it was a bit that required him specifically quoting the dialogue from Barbie, but it feels like Kevin Costner just decided to not look at the teleprompter, which makes
Yeah.
quoting dialogue a lot more difficult.
Right? And then everyone's seeing what he's supposed to say off the teleprompter, and he's just saying it weird, so they're all laughing at him, and he knows. So then she tries to ad lib, and he literally just said, "Move on." The only thing funnier than that would have been, and I've been saying this for a minute. Well, I'll say Kerry Russell and Ray Romano, solid
Oh,
bit.
that was a great bit. In fact,
That was a great bit.
I want to mind that a little bit because I was thinking about our issue with Joe Coy. You know, I found out he was hosting the Golden Globes when I tuned into them. I don't know if you had the same experience that I did. I had no idea they had
I
picked
found
him.
out 10 days ago. When did it happen? As I was like, why is this so late? So honestly, almost around the same time.
So I actually compiled a list of people who I thought might be better suited to host not just the Golden Globes, but the Oscars, because I don't think the Oscars have announced a host either yet, or did,
I'm gonna
did
put
they
it to
give
you
it to
this
Kimmel
way.
again?
You're gonna mention, I think it's Kimmel again.
I think you're right, but who wants to see
I don't
Kimmel
want to
host
be
yet
right.
another
Nobody
Oscars?
wants to
Yeah,
see Kimmel again.
you're right. It is Kimmel
I'm
again.
gonna you're going to say two comedians who presented during this.
Yeah. Well,
Please.
no, I'm not going to say Kristen Wiig and Will Ferrell if that's what you're thinking, because
Of course it's what I'm thinking.
as much as they would be perfect, as much as they absolutely kill every time they go up to present together, I
Hell
kind
yeah.
of get the feeling that they would have done it by now if they wanted to. I think they might be a little bit too big for that gig, given that they are
They
both
just they come into
movie
them and they go,
stars.
"You get out of here."
Do you like that bit? I thought it was really funny.
I think they kill every bit that they're in.
Yeah.
I still quote the "You get out of here" bit with Meryl Streep. It's fantastic, and this new one was great too.
Yeah.
They joke on vibes.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like
They
just
let it
sort of
breathe.
like the energy that they bring is
You
funny
can't
in
compete with that.
itself, that you
Yeah,
don't even necessarily need like the jokes to be that clever. They just bring it.
they weren't even saying lines. They had the whole audience
Yeah.
cracking up. All right, but hit me.
All right. My first pick is a duo, and I'm not so sure how familiar you are with both of them together, but you might know Bowen Yang from SNL. I picked
Mhm.
the Las Culturistas duo of Bowen Yang and Matt Rogers. I think they're really funny. They also have that podcast, Las Culturistas. They're really firmly like absorbers of pop culture and commentators on
Okay.
it. Bowen Yang's got a letterbox that he keeps up with too. We need hosts who are funny and care about the movies, and I
Agreed.
guarantee you that these guys would match that assignment.
Yeah, I can see
But
Bowen
they're
Yang bringing that respectability to the craft itself.
exactly, and they're Swifties. They would have had Swift jokes prepared that she wouldn't get mad about.
That would
It
have
all
been
would
good.
have worked
Yeah.
out. Yeah. All right,
Okay.
another pick I have is Nicole Byer, who, aside from hosting Netflix's Nailed It, also was the host of the Creative Arts Emmys not so long ago. So she has award show hosting experience. I think she's got like a fun, bubbly energy and just kind of can help pick the mood up in a way that is useful for an award show, particularly when you're getting into hour 3, that her voice is going to just generate some enthusiasm.
Okay.
I also have another duo that you are familiar with. Uh, how about Tim Robinson and Sam Richardson, the
That would
Detroiter
never in a
boys?
million years. That would never in a million years happen.
I
If
think
these
it'd
two
be
hosts,
really hilarious.
these two hosts were sneaking in through the TikTok lounge, whatever they will allow us in.
I mean,
Do you
look,
understand how awkward?
Sam has experience hosting the Baby of the Year awards.
Oh well, if you put it that way, okay.
I don't know. They're just like the funniest guys out right now. Like, what show is funnier than I think you should leave? And what you need in an award show is like quick, funny bits, and that's what I think you should leave. Is I think it kind of would work.
I agree.
I don't know.
I just don't think they'll ever do it.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do it either. Maybe they would consider Aubrey Plaza. She hosted the Indie Spirit Awards a couple years ago, and I thought was great. I think she's got the right energy for the Golden Globe. She could kind of
Maybe.
match the boozier kind of vibe.
Yeah,
I
definitely
don't
not the
think she
Oscars though.
exactly. Somebody else who might be good for the Golden Globes was there last night and is a previous winner. I kind of feel like Rami would be really well suited for this kind of gig. You know, he's a cultured guy, but he's also like a very clever stand-up comedian who's extremely comfortable on stage. You know, we saw him last time you were in New York, and he's very good with rolling with the punches. I think he could do crowd work and actually excel in it, not just be like weirdly mean. I don't know. I could see Rami doing it. I'm not sure
I like
he
Remy.
is super into that idea, but
If he'd want to, or if he's big enough, or I guess
yeah,
the push of it. But no, Remy would kill it easily. I
yeah.
think I remember when he first won his first Globe or Emmy, he went up there and he had said, "Some of you don't even know who I am. Some of you just gave me your order on the way up."
Yeah, look,
Oh,
he'd kill
that'd be
it.
a good one. Yeah,
I just mentioned Nate Bargatze. You know,
yeah,
he's just
bro,
I
he's
think he's
good.
a comedian on the rise, and that's the kind of profile that I think these award shows should really be going
Yeah.
after.
No, he's had back to back to back really great specials. He's family friendly. I think he's able to bring everybody in and have that edge where if you're not going to go full Ricky Gervais,
Mhm.
then you need to at least embody the love and just the normal perspective of these movie campaigns and movie awards and stuff. Because for a lot of people, they don't watch every movie. They don't know all the subculture of stuff, and he kind of brings that Midwestern just perspective. I think he's more
Yeah.
Southern, but just that idea of like your regular average viewer who isn't tuning into these things would actually give it a watch
He could kind of be like an audience surrogate, and I think he would do
easily.
it in a way that doesn't make it feel like you're being disrespectful to the institution, because he's kind of like
Beautifully put.
he's a charming, sweet guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, my last two are more leaning into the like messy reputation that the Golden Globes might be trying to leave in the rearview mirror, but I don't know. I still think it's fun. This one isn't a comedian, but I just think that like he would get the spectacle and the kind of celebrity centric nature of the night. I honestly think that Andy Cohen would be all right. It's not who I would choose, but if we're choosing between Joe Coy and Andy Cohen, I know who would do a better job.
You know, I had a New Year's resolution, and that was to not see him until the next New Year's Eve thing. So thank you for bringing him up
Take time.
360 some days.
Look, I still got you got plenty of time to not see his face. I
Oh,
think the next person though you'll be a better fan of, because if we're talking about the Ricky Gervais legacy, who better than Z-Way?
ha!
Somebody somebody who knows how to put celebrities into uncomfortable spots and do it in a way that is still funny. I think. I think
Hey,
she would be
bro,
a great inheritor to that Ricky Gervais legacy, and somebody who kind of can make it fresh too.
I want to. I do.
Yeah.
But those are private. Half the time, if you turn up the volume on the back speakers, the guest got her people laughing more than she's got the people laughing. So I'm very curious how she would be on a live
Mhm.
actual performance because we've always just seen her on a set. Hell yeah, I would love it. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that would be a pretty good comparison, especially like she can have her stuff pre-written. You know, hopefully she can manage in the moment.
I hope.
I don't know. And I think she's just much better suited to stuff like this than talking to George Santos, if we're serious. But those are the people who
That
I
was
think would be
hilarious, bro.
good for the Golden Globes. The five choices I have for the Oscars, I'm starting with somebody we just talked about earlier, John Mulaney, as well as Nick Kroll, who were
I'll take
excellent.
Mulaney. I'll take
They were
Mulaney.
they were excellent as co-hosts of the Indie Spirit
Uh huh.
Awards. So I'm hoping they can bring back that energy. They've just got a good partnership, comedic partnership, and Mulaney in particular, I think would be great for that kind
Yeah.
of a gig.
Get Mulaney up in the front. He could do the coat check in the back.
Yeah. You mentioned one of your favorite presenters of the night was Ray Romano. I kind of think he could take the reins for a whole ceremony. You know, he has a long storied career as a stand-up comedian, so he's
Yes,
comfortable
sir.
delivering jokes on stage. He's also somebody who has graduated into the film world and has,
Mhm.
you know, some real bona fides as an actor on his under his belt. I think he'd be really fun in that kind of a role.
And committed to that bit completely. They were the
Yeah.
best ones. It had a full first, second, and third act to that presentation. It was beautiful.
Mhm.
It's how it used to be done.
This is maybe similar to the Kristen Wiig, Will Ferrell suggestion, but I'm gonna go with Maya Rudolph. I kind of don't know why this hasn't happened already. She is so like effortlessly funny and multi-talented, and she's got connections to the film world. You know, she's Paul Thomas Anderson's wife. That alone should be enough to get her some Oscar cred, right? I think
Alone?
she'd be really. I feel like she tends to do her presentations with people. Like there's the famous one with Tiffany Haddish. There's the famous one with Kristen Wiig. Maybe you pair her up with somebody, but I think you just gotta like just get her at least. No?
Her and Paul,
Oh, I'd love that. You know, I would love
right?
that. I'm not sure
Straight
Paul
edge.
would love that.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. I think Andy Samberg would be good at it. He did the Emmys back in 2019 with the Lonely Island team producing for him. And I think he's got like again talking about the whole idea of short form comedy being a good training ground for something like this. He's got good bits, and I think
Yeah, I actually
that's
like that. Yeah, that'd be
that's
good.
what you need for a role like this. So I think
Yeah.
he'd succeed at it. And then my last choice is maybe a bit of an old school choice, but I'm just mostly surprised it hasn't happened yet. Why has Conan O'Brien never hosted the Oscars?
Hey.
Is there like
Ye-
a more effortlessly smart and clever man out there? Like his
I-
podcast is just a gem.
Killing it.
And I don't know, man. I think that he would be so incredible in the role, but
Wow.
he's never really got the shot.
Nah, I mean that's my favorite late night guy ever.
Yeah,
Easily, for
same,
sure.
same.
All in.
So we're going with Z-Way for the Golden Globes and Conan for the Oscars.
Z-Way and Conan O'Brien to host everything from the Emmys down to the Grammys.
There we go.
We didn't do Grammys one too, bro. I can't keep seeing Trevor Noah at the Grammys.
Yeah, there's a reason I didn't put him on my long list, but um
Dear.
anyway, so
Oh,
those
I'm
are
gonna give
my
you a side one, bro.
suggestions. Yeah,
Don
hit me.
Cheadle has no business being as funny as he is. I'm gonna tell you right now, run it back. He set
Mhm.
up Kate Beckinsale to say that final line.
There's a few people who I think need to be presenters at every single award ceremony. I think that Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig need to be at every ceremony. I
Every
think that
single one.
they should bring
Mandatory.
back Billy Crystal for every Oscars to
Oh,
present
easily.
something.
Mhm.
Don Cheadle is like close to that status. He's so
Nah,
good in a deadpan delivery.
he is the best, and he's actually underrated. He is
Yeah,
up there with. He's better than some comedians, dude. I have no other way to put it.
yeah.
I think like the way Regina Hall commits to a bit,
Yes, that's a great comparison.
he has had viral moments where people think that it's real. He's the funniest one. He's great.
All right, so let us know who you think would be a good host for the Golden Globes, for the Oscars, maybe just somebody you want to see present, or if you had any thoughts on the Golden Globes. Are there any other things that we should talk about before we move to a few other award stories? We didn't mention that Boy and the Heron beat Spider-Verse for animated film. We kind of skipped over
Well,
Debicki and the Crown, but I don't know. I'm not
Debicki was
watching The
good in The
Crown.
Crown. I mean, I know that we had mentioned that. I remember you were going through everybody in that category, and I was like, bro, there's someone from The Crown in here. She's
Yeah.
gonna take it. Good for Debicki. You know, she started off as doing a lot of supporting stuff, and I think it's still supporting, if I'm not mistaken. But
10
with
and a half.
award recognition, yeah. I'd just say overall, some of the stats in Oppenheimer being the one with the most wins movie wise, 5 to all the other movies doing 2. So that's pretty
Yep,
impressive right there.
notable.
Hopefully stays the same. Succession obviously coming out on top with 9 over the second place being The Bear and Only Murders with 5 each. But just overall, I think they did a really good job in presenting a lot of the categories. In terms of the presenters, you had a lot of hit or misses, but the ones that were recognizable were pretty recognizable. Uh, mm, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Unless you had something else to say for the holdovers, because when it comes down to the top 2, the last category to really break down is Killian versus Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, I mean, those seem to be the front runners, at least for now, heading into the Oscars. And it's hard for me to choose personally because
You have to.
I feel like such a warmth towards both those actors, and I don't know. It's feels
Would you
like
say
in a
today will
way.
be the truth? Speak it.
I'm gonna go with Paul Giamatti. I think Paul earned it. This is similar to what my argument was with Robert Downey Jr. Is a nice mix of it feels like it's time to award this guy, and also this is like one of his iconic performances. It's so Paul
Good year for
Giamatti
that.
in his bag that I
I
think
like that.
yeah, because you don't want Paul Giamatti to win for some random for some random performance. You, I was trying to think of like the last thing I've seen Paul Giamatti in, but it's like Billions being ordered around by a dominatrix. He's not going to win an Oscar for that.
They said he's dating the girl from Billions.
Yeah, love finds us in the most
Shout out,
mysterious ways.
shout out, Paul.
All right, so let's move on to some other awards topics, starting with the Creative Arts Emmys, which
Ah,
confusingly
yes.
were also last weekend. It was a bunch of below the line awards for Emmys getting doled out, and then above the line awards being handed out at the Golden Globes. Several TV shows took home multiple awards, but the big winner on the night was The Last of Us, which took home a total of 8. I think the
Oh,
most notable one, or at least the one that I saw most people celebrating, was Nick Offerman's win for Guest Actor in a Drama Series for
wow.
iconic episode 3. But Art, I don't know if you saw many of these awards or the winners, but did any stand out to you?
I did not get to see many of them, but I know that Deadpool, what's his name, won for Wrexham because I saw him on
Oh
my
yeah,
page talking about getting a shout out there. An
yeah.
interesting one I'd bring up to you is this idea that the Emmys television gave an award to Still a Michael J. Fox Story, a documentary that has also been shortlisted for the Oscars.
Yeah, I don't really. It's bizarre, right? Because
That's cheating.
it's in this weird nether zone where like is it TV, is it movies, is it both, who's to
It's
say?
streaming.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
well,
weird.
the thing is they did put it in theaters because they need to put it in theaters in order to have an
For
Oscar
sure.
qualifying run. But
Yeah.
does them putting it in theaters mean that it should then be disqualified from TV awards?
Well, no, because some series now get put in theaters as like a
Right,
special,
so then
right?
what is the
It's
delineation? What is the
oh
difference?
my gosh. I don't
Because
know.
I don't know. I don't it's hard to figure out like what the dividing line should be. I know that to me personally it feels like cheating, but at the same time like it is an award for TV documentary, right? Like it's not like they're lying about it not being a documentary. They're just sort of
And it's
lying about it being
yeah.
made for TV.
Yeah, where should it count? And the craziest part is that you and I just consider it top 5 no matter what.
Yeah.
Anything else for you though?
Not particularly. I mean, I did find it interesting that The Last of Us did so well in circling back
Mm.
to our point about Succession and The Bear dominating at the Golden Globes. I do think that there is a world in which the Emmys award The Last of Us instead of Succession. And given that it has a
No.
bunch of
That's
you,
cute.
you don't think so?
What? I'm surprised you think so.
I I don't know, man. The Emmys do some weird shit sometimes.
Sure. How weird. That's Succession.
I guess, but well, I don't know, man. We will see. I'm not saying that that's what I would like bet on, but it's not something that I'm going to be surprised by if it happens.
Okay. What did it clean up with? Just by you were saying Nick Offerman. You were mentioning a couple stuff. How much Succession competition did they have in those categories?
That's a great question.
Right?
It did beat Succession in casting for a drama series.
Okay, because it was
I
brand new people.
it won for outstanding contemporary costumes from a series, also against Succession. Oh, wait, did it win those categories? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think it won those categories. So ignore
Okay.
me. Um, yeah, White Lotus and Wednesday won those categories. It won outstanding prosthetic makeup, which it
Well, you
probably
know,
did better than Succession.
maybe, maybe.
I don't know. I'm assuming guest actor. There were some Succession people in there, too. It won outstanding visual effects, which again is not something that
Which
I
again,
really get to
Succession
do.
probably had down pat.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I was
I'm still
surprised
going
by?
Succession.
Got outstanding main title design. Uh,
Sure.
I was surprised that Nicholas Bertel didn't pick up best original music for a TV show. That one went to The White Lotus instead.
And that's wrong.
Yeah,
That man for the White Lotus has won way too many awards for that. It's the same beat
yeah.
for both
It's a
seasons.
it's a remix. Like,
It's
congrats,
a
you
remix.
you dropped the remix.
And I mess with the remix, but Nick Bertel comes in every single time.
Yeah.
He does what Michael Giacchino did with that Lost score, where it's the
Mhm.
same notes but like sad, same notes but like same notes but like the last 4 seasons.
Yeah, he
Gosh. So now comedies and dramas are the same. Okay.
a shout out to Storm Reed. Pink Sweets is mentioning in the
Shout out
live
Storm
stream
Reed.
that Storm also won from The Last of Us.
Mm. They did not win the guest supporting.
Who once guessed?
The brothers in that one episode.
No, it was Nick Offerman who beat all the Last of Us and Succession people, and then it was Storm Reed who again beat a bunch of Last of Us and Succession people.
Okay. Well, I guess they still got the award, but yeah, I would have given it. I guess Nick Offerman had the whole episode to himself, so
He had a little more room to work with.
yeah, a little more room. All right, well that's interesting. Creative Art Emmys. Are those even streamed?
I don't know. I don't think so, but I'd imagine it's 2023, it's
creative.
2024, right? They should stream these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when are the
They only work
uncreative
in media.
art Emmys?
Those are next week.
Next week. Okay.
Yeah.
Tune in.
The Oscars also announced some short
Oh,
lists.
let's go.
Yeah, the short lists for 10 different categories, including a couple that we pay significant attention to, those being documentary feature, international feature, some more that we will get into, but I do want to start with those two big ones. Documentaries, they named 15 movies to the short list. Those movies include American Symphony, Apollonia, Beyond
Pretty good.
Utopia, The
You liked
Eternal
it?
Memory, Four Daughters, Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni story, Stamped from the Beginning, Still a Michael J. Fox story, A Still Small Voice, 32 Sounds, 20 Days in Mariupol, and 4 other documentaries that we haven't mentioned on Intercut. If you've been paying
Which
attention
one?
to Intercut, you knew 11 of them.
In the rear view, I mentioned.
Okay, take one off. To Kill
There
a
you go.
Tiger in the rear view, Desperate Souls, Dark City, and The Legend of Midnight Cowboy, and then Bobby Wine, the People's President.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so those are the 15 movies that have been shortlisted for documentary, and I guess we talked about 12 of them on the last year of the show. Not bad. That's
12
pretty
out of
solid for our
15?
track record.
Hey, I'll say I mentioned Bobby Wine, the people's president, and I said I didn't see it. So I'm gonna count my top 5.
Yeah, shoot.
4 Daughters, Going to Mars, Still Michael J. Fox, A Still Small Voice, 20 Days of Mariupol. Those are my picks.
I've got a
Personally.
very similar top 5. I went with The Eternal Memory over Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni story, just because I felt
Fair.
like while I really liked Going to Mars, I think I liked her, the subject, more than the necessarily structure or presentation of the documentary. Whereas Eternal Memory, I think I like the filmmaking a little bit more there.
Mhm.
But I also have Four Daughters, still a Michael J. Fox story, A Still Small Voice, and 20 Days in Mariupol in my final 5.
Beautiful. My sneakers would be American Symphony. And In the Rear View, I can see In the Rear View getting in there for sure.
Yeah, I think you also really liked Apollonia a bunch.
That was pretty good. I'm surprised
Yeah.
you made it this way. I'm excited because that was like one of the first ones that I put on for Tribeca, and I was like,
Yeah.
damn, look at you make it all the way. 32
Yeah.
Sounds. Don't even get it twisted. I don't know if you remember this documentary.
I do.
South by 2022.
Yeah.
That's 2 years after the fact. That's one where the movie begins and it tells you to put on headphones because the whole movie's supposed to be a sonic adventure. Very interesting movie. Crazy to see it here after all
Wait,
these years.
was that South by or was it Sundance? Because I feel like I remember us booting it up on Alina's laptop.
I remember catching it at South by. It could have played at Sundance as one of the
Because
like
that was
the
the Harry
VR
Potter
stuff.
house year. Yeah.
Yeah. No, if it was that year, it would have been even before. Actually, you're right. It might have been there.
Yeah.
I just remember
Any
seeing it a part of South by.
any documentaries that you feel were snubbed? I know there's a few that we both enjoyed from this year, or at least appreciated. I'll start with De Humani Corporis Fabrica, the film that I most wanted to walk out of, but only because it was so affecting and disgusting to watch. It's
No, mine was good.
depiction of the human body. I don't know. It's a stunning piece of filmmaking. I kind of think it at least should have been shortlisted. Also,
Yeah.
we both found King Cole to be really powerful and ethereal and mysterious and beautiful. I would have liked to seen that one shortlisted. I think the biggest snub for me is Kokomo City, just a vibrant
It's a good
documentary
one,
that
yeah.
depicts the lives of Black trans sex workers. A really, really great documentary. And then I also really liked Smoke Sauna Sisterhood, which is from Estonia, and I think it's incredibly powerful in the way that it's put together.
Yeah. I mean, you know me. I got so many I could mention. Great Photo, Lovely Life was a last minute one that we saw
Yeah.
off HBO. Incredible, fantastic movie. Put that on your radar if you have not. I agree with you on Smokes on a Sisterhood. I'm gonna double that up with Against the Tide, a movie that I think got like shortlisted before
Mhm.
it got completely kicked out. I thought that was a very good one. Kokomo City, I agree with you, and I would even put in All These Sons, the newest one from one of your favorite documentarian filmmakers,
Oh,
who had done what was it, Minding the Gap? Leave
yeah,
it
Bing
open to
Lu.
whenever it's. I want to say that
Is
this
that
one is available on Prime. Perfect.
yeah? Is that this year or is that last year? I forget all these stunts.
It barely got released 2023. We got to see it as a part of some festival. I can't remember. In 2022, it had a very slow release because you won't believe it.
Yeah.
House Made of Splinters 2023 as well. The
Oh,
one that had
geez.
me crying at the Harry Potter house.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many movies that are out there. I agree with you with Deomani. You remember Riotsville? That barely got its
Yeah.
release last
You're
year.
right.
A movie made up of all archive footage about a Riotsville, USA, a city
Mhm.
just made up of test subjects to be able to run what it would be like if the government had to deal with a riot. It's in the title. I don't know
Uprisings
what
and
the movie.
riots
Yeah,
and yeah.
it's right there. Fantastic Machine. I thought was also a really good one from last year.
Yeah.
I thought that was could have gotten some love. Dear Mama. I know after the year that is OJ Made in America, they won't count docu-series anymore.
Yeah.
But boy, should this have counted. I'd even put
Yeah,
another
maybe the Emmys
docu-series
should
up
have.
there. Right? I've been seeing it win like documentary award shows. So shout out to Dear Mama for that. American Gladiators would have fit there as well. But the final one, and I know you would agree with me, and I know you think this should be in the short list, if not the top 5. Hot Potato, the story of the Wiggles. There's no reason why this is being snubbed.
I mean, it's one of the
It's a
movies that
hit.
made me the laugh the most this year at the very least. So,
A lot of great documentary picks, but yeah,
yeah.
that was some of my picks.
Let's talk about the shortlisted international movies. They are Amerikatsi from Armenia, The Monk and the Gun from Bhutan, The Promised Land from Denmark, Fallen Leaves from Finland, The Taste of Things from France, The Teacher's Lounge from Germany, Godland from Iceland, Yo Capitano from Italy, Perfect Days from Japan, Totem from Mexico, The Mother of All Lies from Morocco, Society of the Snow from Spain, Four Daughters from Tunisia, getting onto both shortlists, 20 Days in Mariupol from Ukraine, also getting onto both shortlists, and The Zone of Interest from the United Kingdom. So, of those 15 movies, I believe we again talked about 12 of them this year on Intercut. But
We
do you
got y'all.
have a top 5 that you're hoping to see actually make the final cut at the Oscars?
Barring the movies I haven't been able to see yet, I'm going Promised Land, Teacher's Lounge, Godland, Society of the Snow. The heck, bro? $4, 20 days, Zone of Interest. Woo!
Not
Wow,
easy.
not easy. Zone, 20 days.
Nice, nice. I think I am gonna go with The Taste of Things,
Which
The
is yep.
Teacher's Lounge, Perfect Days,
Mm-hmm.
Totem, and The Zone of Interest. I think 3 of my picks you haven't seen.
Yeah, I'm still sitting on Perfect Days, Totem,
taste of
and
things.
Mother of All Lies we're gonna see at Sundance, bro. Like,
Oh yeah, true. That's another one that I haven't seen. I want to catch up with Yo Capitano. I saw that was nominated at the Globes last night. You
yeah,
said excellent things about Godland and The Promised
great.
Land as well. Americazzi is the only one of these that I hadn't even heard of until the
I
nominations had
mentioned
come
it to
out.
you.
Did you mention it?
Yeah, so again, make it 13, bro. I got you. I
Okay,
always
there
think
we
in there.
go.
I left a comedy show and went straight to go see Americazzi. I'm
But you don't
surprised you
have
made
any
it this
time.
far.
Yeah, you don't have it in your final five. Well, there's always a
Not in
couple
my final five.
there's always a couple surprising ones. I think some people were surprised by The Monk and the Gun, although it has the same
Why?
director as
Yeah,
Lunana, A Yak in the Classroom, which made the
it makes
final
sense.
five. So
So
yeah,
I understood that one.
it's just
We still didn't catch
Bhutan,
that
right?
tip,
It's
but
such a tiny country, but people are responding to the movie or at least the campaign.
they cooked the pure stuff over there. We
Yeah.
still got to catch that one.
Yeah, so those are the international and documentary shortlists. The snubs from international that I had listed were Delinquents from Argentina, Pictures of
Ooh.
Ghosts from Brazil, The Settlers, which just got released in theaters. That's Chile's selection. I
Hmm.
wanted to also specifically mention Mami Wata from Nigeria, which, if it had been shortlisted, it would have been the only African film shortlisted. The Africa is one of the continents that the Academy is particularly bad at recognizing films from, and most people I know who have seen Mami Wata find the film to be pretty incredible.
Nice.
Um, do not expect too much from The End of the World. Yeah, I know you caught this one and thought it was pretty. There's a lot to really like about it, even if there's a
The one where
lot
she
that's
drives?
yeah, yeah, that's
Decent.
Romania's selection.
Yeah.
Uh, Concrete Utopia from South Korea and About Dry Grasses from Turkey. I know got rave reviews out of festivals.
Yeah. Did you mention Shada?
I didn't mention Shada. Was that Australia's pick? I think it
Yeah, that is
was.
Australia's pick. It's getting a good amount. I went to go see Memory. I forgot to add that to the lineup for a week must watch, and it was just full of a bunch of trailers for the festival movies. They had a
Right.
really good trailer for Shada that a lot of people were reacting to. Some of the other ones did I mention here from the other list? Uh, Promised Land did make the cut. Taste of Things I Need to See. Smokes on a Sisterhood was technically also a
Yeah,
submission
from Estonia.
for
Yeah,
its country, which I
exactly.
thought was pretty cool. I'm glad Godland made it in. The Night Guard. Oh, Inshallah Boy. I just got a screener link for that. That is also getting its theatrical release from Jordan, which, as you were saying, many of the African
Yeah.
movies just don't get picked. It's not even African, I guess. Slow from Lithuania, was a standout for
Right.
me out of Sundance.
Yeah.
But where is that out? You can't really find that with the way that they released that way too tiny. Housekeeping for beginners, massive trailer before Memory as well. Another one that I had missed out of Chicago, but that one looked really good. Songs of Earth was a documentary by Tiberius from Palestine, which has the actress from Succession. It's her daughter directing her and her sisters. Hey, you're a little muted, but I thought that one was a pretty good standout. The Peasants is one that's on my anticipated list. I just finished The Breaking Ice. That was a really good movie as well. That would have been Singapore submission from Anthony Chen.
I
And
I have a screening of The Peasants tomorrow. That's Poland selection. I'll report back
bro,
on it.
please, because that
Yeah,
thing looks crazy. It's
I'll
like
let you
one of
know.
those the not xenotrope, but like
Rotoscoped.
rotoscope. Thank
Yeah.
you. That looks pretty good. And then just rounding it out over here, South Korea's Concrete Utopia in theaters now.
Yeah.
Decent. Sudan's Goodbye Julia. That would have been mine. I came out talking good things about that one. I really liked the performances there. Four Daughters had the ability. I think both of us are still watching About Dry Grasses because that one's pretty long. And that's it. Yeah, out of the ones that
Yeah.
were there. Look, still solid list for the bunch because I don't know who to add. Someone's gonna get cut out for the top five, so it's already gonna be
Definitely.
down to the wire.
Are you interested in talking about any of the other short lists? Because they have the short films short lists are out, although those are often full of surprise films that we hadn't heard about. Although sometimes they do include ones that we've been talking about. There's the
Mhm.
short list for makeup and hairstyling, for sound, for original score, for original song, which tragically did not include Camp Isn't Home from Theater Camp. Um,
I don't get that. It makes no
I
sense to me.
Yeah, theater camp in general just overlooked this year.
Yeah. Um, I'm surprised. I guess the Flora and Sun song was decent. I was still going for Dublin '07, but hey, some
Yeah.
love there at least. When it comes to some of the shorts, I know for a fact there's a one called Grandma and Grandma. That's one that I'm rooting for the most. I thought that
Mhm.
one was pretty good. We also have the director making a new movie over at Sundance. When it comes to visual effects, I found this to be the most interesting because it's been a conversation that's been had since the summer. Oppenheimer getting booted out of here because they don't consider it special effects, I think is goofy.
Mhm.
I
I
think it
wonder
deserves a
how
spot on here.
much of that is like a like kind of political thing because of
I could
how
toss out
much
4.
Nolan has been talking about how this is
No,
all practical or primarily
that's still
practical.
a visual effect. That is still a visual effect. If
Mhm.
there is no category for the practical effect, then that is a visual effect.
Right, but we know what dominates this category, and it's the best. It's basically a best CGI category, even though that's not the
Then
title of
rename
it.
it.
Yeah,
Then rename it.
perhaps,
Yeah.
perhaps, yeah.
That would be the last thing that I throw in there. Rebel Moon? Come on now. No.
Did want to mention that the short film list is a little bit more auteur filled than normal because Wes Anderson's The Wonderful World of Henry Sugar made the cut, as did Pedro Almodovar's Strange Way of Life. So those two iconic directors might be getting another Oscar nomination in the shorts category in a week's
Sure.
time.
Interesting.
All right. We'll wrap up this awards update with a quick discussion of the ruling on Barbie's script because despite
The verdict has just come in.
it's the final result has come through and Barbie will be competing as an adapted screenplay despite Warner Brothers attempting to run it in the original screenplay category, which of course set off a world of debate and hair wringing from Oscar pundits.
The
Art,
UN gathered.
we know that Barbie
Hmm.
is based on previous
Yes.
material. We know that it is adapted from
Uh-huh.
the Mattel line of toys. Part of the reason we know it's adapted is because the movie says so in its credits. However, I do kind of want to throw an argument out at you. Is this script any less original than May December or Origin or Air?
It is through and through an adaptation of the dresses, of the costumes, of the house. It is literally adapting what we know this doll to be. May December, switch the names. It is making fun of the genre more than it is making fun of the case because that's the only way they got away with that poor boy coming out, now a man, saying, that offended me. Air is a bastardization. That is a corporate document. That is corporate. Zach, I'm going to take your Air, Origin. I see 2 other movies that you mentioned there if you want to mention them. I am
Uh
saying all of these are adapted before I say I'm the complete opposite of you. You're mentioning movies that I'd boot over there with it before I
would
say
you
that this should be original.
all the movies that I mentioned, May December, Air and Origin, you think should be in the adapted category?
I'd put those in the adapted if that's the argument over this getting by as original.
I mean, the other argument that I have is that is this screenplay less original than something like 1917 or something like Dunkirk, which is rooted in historical fact, and where you talk about how we come in with this idea of like what the clothes are, what the characters are, what the dolls are,
Yeah.
how we come in and we know it's funny that there's only one Alan
Uh-huh.
because we know
For
that
sure.
it's about Barbie and Ken. Don't we
Uh-huh.
also know who wins in the end in 1917 and in Dunkirk?
They asked for the rights and the copyrights of the soldiers' outfits and military personnel. At what point are we stopping what adapted is then? If everything is new, then everything is new. If there's no adapted, that's fine. We can Golden Globes it. But to me, it is through and through adapting what we know Barbie to be.
Mm-hmm. I I brought this up the last time we sort of talked about this on the show, but I think what I would love to see is and part of this is because I just love screenplays and writers and I want them to be rewarded. A
Yeah.
third kind of hybrid category where it's like original ideas based off of existing properties. Because
Isn't
like
that adapted
I
screenplay?
I don't think so though because they're like you look I read Poor Things, right? and they're
Yeah.
lifting lines of dialogue from the book
Yeah.
directly into the mouths of the characters.
Uh-huh.
Even something like Oppenheimer is pretty faithfully following a lot of the stuff in American Prometheus, but there's a completely original story in Barbie. It is built off of the back of unoriginal characters and properties, but there's still an amount of originality to it. Let's take Barbie away from the discussion. What about something like Across the Spider-Verse, which is a
Adapted.
wholly original
Adapted.
idea adapted off of how about How to Blow Up a Pipeline, which is a completely original story based off of a nonfiction book?
Adapted. Why is it so bad to be adapted? That's my question.
It's not bad
What
to
is
be adapted. I'm just saying that
but the urge is
there's
you think that
nuance
they
to it,
deserve
and
more
I want
respect by having it original.
no, 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 no. It's not about more respect. It's about different delineations of the job, because I think particularly in the modern spectrum of Hollywood, this is an increasingly large part of what a writer's job is to like take something that exists and find an original angle on it. And I think it's different than taking the book of women talking and basically just like transmogrifying it into a film where like 98% of it is basically the same words, than doing what you're doing in something like Barbie. And I think those things are also completely different than having a completely original screenplay where everything comes from scratch. I just think they're all different, and they all kind of could get their own little box, right? Like we don't put in TV, we do this more, right? The Emmys have so many different categories for best short form comedy, best late night
Mhm.
comedy, best 30-minute comedy. I'm saying we need more categories.
I am always for more categories, but at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's either something's original like Past Lives
Yeah.
or something is adapted from something, whether it be small,
Well, she adapted Past
tiny.
Lives off of her real life experience, so maybe we should do another
I like
category
that
for
one.
that.
I like that one. If it's been copywritten and mailed, I don't think it's bad for it to be
Yeah,
adapted. I think
it's not.
everything you described, I agree. There are layers to the adaptation for sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, some may argue that Star Wars shouldn't be original back in the day, but it was
Mhm.
the first original take on that world.
Yeah.
That's the
And
difference to me between Mattel. When Black Panther was getting all of its nominations, that's still
mhm,
adapted. I think because we like Greta so much, we're rooting for it to be something outside of what the movie is. That's why I keep bringing up Transformers. This is a
mhm,
better movie than Transformers, but it's the same model. A toy movie that took what it's supposed to be for its demographic and made it something big. For the boys, it was what Michael Bay had, right? For Greta, it was something a little bit more nuanced. And that nuance that she gave the character, we love so much. We want it to be original. But it's that same work. You brought up Little Women, a great point. Yes, that's more from the text, but she flipped it. And I think she did the exact same work with what we know culturally of Barbie.
mhm.
And then Masterful works with it, but it's still adapted. I don't think
Yeah.
that's a bad thing. I think she should sweep it. I felt it was adapted from the beginning. I'll take the extra category, sure. I'll take it. I don't
Yeah.
mind it. But
Yeah, look, I agree with you. Like it is adapted. I think the movie
beautifully
agrees with you
adapted.
too, right? And that is there is a talent in finding originality within your adaptation, right? Like there are different types and styles of adaptation, and I think that it's okay for them to compete against each other. Um I just think it'd be fun to have more nominees, but in the case that we can't, yeah, dude, it should be an adapted. It's not it has a leg up against the original screenplays that are starting everything from scratch. We already have some familiarity with
Where are you putting A24's Death Stranding?
it. I mean that talk about new categories. That whole movie
That's completely
deserves its
different.
own category. Best walking simulator.
That's experience.
So I think that just about does it for our awards wrap up, but let us know your thoughts on all these different topics, and if you think that any movie in particular is a front runner at the Oscars and why it might not be Oppenheimer. I think it's going to be Oppenheimer. um
Killers.
Art, just want to remind everybody that if you want to support our show, you can head over to
Ooh.
patreon.com/intercutpod, where you can sign up to be a patron. You can support the show, or you can even just follow along for free to get updates about the show. But if you do become a paid member, you'll get access to some early Intercut videos, some patron exclusive videos like our recent talk with Amanda the Jedi about our 2023 letterbox stats. You'll also get invitations to our monthly Google patron meetings, which are always a fun time. So head over to patreon.com/intercutpod to check out all of that. But that's about it for this edition of the show. Art, where can people find more from you?
You can find me over at LME Movies, logging everything on Letterbox, tweeting nothing on Twitter, or over at Let Me Explain on YouTube.com, where I'll be posting hopefully a lot more, especially as we get into Sundance and a bunch of other things. But either way, you can always catch me here weekly on the Intercut Podcast.
You can catch more from me at Zshevich or at Multiplex Show on YouTube or TikTok. But find more from Intercut across social media at Intercut Pod, whatever you like to use. We're probably on there. You can also watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/intercutpod, or listen to us on whatever your favorite podcatcher is. And hey, while you're there, maybe give us a 5-star review. We really like those 5-star reviews. I mean, they make me feel good. And if you just kind of want to like give me a little shot of dopamine, it's pretty easy.
Sometimes I'll leave one on there, just 5 stars, because I know it's going to brighten his day. And when he's a naughty boy, I leave a 1-star review.
And I don't want you to tell me which ones they are, because that would really complicate our relationship.
All the ones from Tunisia, those are all me. I use the VPN.
So please leave us those 5-star reviews, and please, if you're watching the video, leave a comment, like the video, consider heading over or consider subscribing. I already said all of that. If you're also subscribe. It doesn't hurt to remind people to subscribe. You can turn on the bell. I normally don't say that, like, oh, you can click the bell for notifications thing.
I know that's what that would have changed it. That's
what's wrong. That's what's been wrong all these years. I figured it out only 4 hours into recording today.
It's okay. New year, new rules. We got this.
New us, right?
Smash that bell. That's what it is.
Smash that bell. Like our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter pages. Support our Patreon. You find all of them at Intercut Pod, and those are the best places to get updates throughout the week from Arturo, from me, from any of the guests that we feature here on Intercut. You can also catch a link to our Discord in the description of this episode, which is a great place to keep up the talk all week long with a bunch of inner cuties. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, be better than Joe Coy. Just be more prepared than Joe Coy.